Rob Kendall, Jim Merritt, the program is Statehouse Happenings, your weekly look at what's going on with Indiana politics and government. Before we begin the program, let's meet the award-winning panelist. You know him from 30 years in the Indiana Senate, the great Jim Merritt. Hello.
Robert.
Abdul has not been fired, by the way.
Yeah, he's just very busy.
So, a little behind the scenes here. We used to record this in the morning, which I think worked better for Abdul. Now, because we're here in the late morning, early afternoons, we have to work around our landlord and their schedule, and
his court time, and
right.
being a lawyer, and
so
just
he's not been fired. He'll be back. He'll be back. Probably to the joy of some and dismay of others. He'll be back. All right, so let's get to some of the big things that took place. And one of the things I love about this show is it allows us, look, nobody knows Indiana politics and government like you. You were in it for 30 years, so you know how the system works. And we can kind of talk about some things in ways that don't normally get talked about.
And we can be nimble.
That's right.
Because the issues of the day.
Let's start with this report that came out from the Indiana Capitol Chronicle that showed Diego Morales, the Secretary of State, spent $330,000 on vehicle history reports that basically nobody used. He used like 2,150 of 120,000 that were purchased. The state ended up eating about $300,000+ more than that. We're trying to give him the benefit of the doubt. They just gave it away. Why was he doing this?
I don't know. And how could he do this? He doesn't show up to budget hearings to talk about the budget of his office. And then he goes out and spends this money. And his relationship, I'm certain, with the legislature is very thin. I'd imagine, because they're counting every dime these days.
Are they?
Yeah. Well, you know,
didn't they just give Beckwith like $3 million for some faith initiative? Did I imagine that?
Well, the bottom line is that when you look at this at the last budget session, and they cut. I mean, they were hiring employees in January, and then they were cutting them in May because of a budget situation. So, the legislature itself looks at every dime. You saw a lot of legislation, a lot of conversations at the State House these days during those days that they were taking power back from the governor, and so they were looking for a lot more power, a lot more.
I think power's the right word.
Yeah, power on highway projects.
Yeah,
and
but this is what infuriates people is, okay, there's no money for roads. We have to there's no money to fund the government. We have to raise taxes by $1 billion, which they did last year. There's no money for roads. We have to raise taxes by $6.5 billion. But then this guy has $300,000+ that just, I mean, no, did we get bad? It's not like we got bad. We got no service. Like, nobody used the thing. Mm-hmm. How is there money for this stuff, but there's no money for essentials?
Well, for our listeners, they'll understand that a Secretary of State's office has a budget. Now, were these funds wasted? Yes. Does this need some sort of adjustment next session? Yes. And so it is just another example of that office, which runs like a top in a lot of regards. But when you're talking about this, and the issue with this also is we need an explanation.
Yeah, you're not getting one.
We need to know exactly what happened. And with Diego Morales, that is really crickets. That's silent.
Because there's really two components to this. Number one, the private sector provides the service already, which is the vehicle history report, which, hey, if you want to buy a car, probably a good idea to get it. But that's part of buying the car, right? It's not a road. It's not a water line. It's not something that, the military or the police that can't exist without the government. This already exists. Mm-hmm. So why is he doing it? And two, how do you end up like 117,500 reports off, right? Yeah. You purchased all of these. It wasn't like, well, we wasted 500. We'll have to do better next time. You're talking like hundreds of thousands of reports that just went unused.
Yeah, this is another example of number one, lack of transparency, and two, government waste. There are reasons why people don't trust government, and this is at the head of the line now.
Will there be it seems like there's never any anger from people in the State House. Like, if I were a lawmaker and I saw this, I would say, how dare you? Because we keep trying to tell people there's no money, but then we're just flushing this money down the toilet. There's never any pushback on Diego Why? I mean, it's like you cannot be okay with this if you're a lawmaker.
Well, it's not only just Diego. Back to the Holcomb years when the legislature was suing and the governor was suing Governor Holcomb. It strikes me that there really isn't an anger. And it's almost like a collegiality. And I grew up for 30 years.
Nice. Did you ever get angry?
Well, yes, but I did behind closed doors,
Yeah.
and maybe I got my way, maybe I did not. But I think a lot of us are waiting for that idea that there is a concerted effort to be serious about an issue such as this, and demonstrate that emotion that you're talking about.
Explain to us, because you know how this process works, and I think the process is part of the problem. So we are told, and you advocated at the time, and I thought rightfully so, you said they should not pass last year. You said they should not pass a budget in this moment. They should adjourn and then come back in the summer when they have a better revenue projection. And I thought that was a great idea because the economy was all over the map at the time, and they said, oh, no.
Tariffs. I mean, the chaos from Washington, D.C. just transferred to Indianapolis.
So they raised taxes by $1 billion to fund their budget. Braun, who's supposed to be Mr. No Tax Man, right, signs off on the $1 billion tax increase. Then their revenue projections were just off. So they have all this revenue flood in. A bunch of people raise their hand and go, so can we get our tax increase back? Nope.
Mm-hmm.
And now they're coming out this next year and they're raising taxes on, which is tolling. It's a tax increase to use the road. You've got, like, there's no rhyme or reason to any of this. How could your budget projections be this off? How come then when you have extra money, it doesn't go back to the people if you took the money from the people to begin with? Now there's no money for roads, but you've got guys like Diego Morales just wasting $300,000. Like, the whole system seems very screwed up to me.
Well, and you're seeing embers of a tax revolt. And there's no explanation whatsoever to this toll issue. Now, you and I have always had this discussion about gas taxes, and the idea that somebody that lives in Terre Haute that might have to go to work in Indianapolis or school in Indianapolis, and they would be a part of this toll, whereas people who are for tolls are trying to get that Illinois truck driver who fills up in Illinois and goes all the way across 70 and then fills up in Ohio because it's cheaper. But when you're coming up with big issues such as tolls, an explanation and bringing people along, rather than making an announcement, it's very, very important to lay the groundwork. Make sure the landscape is understandable for those citizens who use I-70 or anything else. And just like any other public policy movement, if you will, you have to bring people along. You have to inform them. You have to understand why their road is under construction or is not under construction and what the plan actually is, anticipating questions. And right now, we aren't getting that.
All right, let's take a quick break. When we come back, I'm going to ask Jim about dark money because there's a lot of this dark money that's starting to pop up in these state Senate races. And I'm going to ask him about sort of the glitch in the system that the dark money has found and get his thoughts. I'm Rob Kendall. It's Jim Merritt. You're watching Statehouse Happenings.
Bramwell Mackay assists managers of multifamily and commercial real estate properties with exterior and structural condition assessment and end-to-end building wellness. Your consulting partners for water intrusion inspection and remediation, Bramwell Mackay handles historic restoration and repair, as well as modern repair needs. In Indianapolis, call 812-33-BRICK. That's 812-33-BRICK. 812-33-BRICK.
Where you work and who you work with matters. I'm Dr. Jim Dalton, President and CEO of Damar. We're dedicated to helping vulnerable kids and adults with disabilities. Right now, we're looking for tough people with big hearts, people who don't think twice about standing up for someone else, and who love seeing others grow and succeed. Is your job fulfilling emotionally, or are you just filling time? Learn more about open positions at damar.org.
Rob Kendall, Jim Merritt, the program, Statehouse Happenings, your weekly look at what's going on with Indiana politics and government. Okay, so the article came out from the Indiana Capitol Chronicle about, so I started hearing, these were radio ads, targeted at the senators who had voted against redistricting. So there's like 6 of these senators that have the ire of Trump and Turning Point USA and all these people. And I hear this ad on the radio, and it was at Jim Buck.
Yes.
Now, Jim Buck has been there. You know Jim Buck.
I do.
He's been there since the earth has been young.
Yes.
He's been around a long time. He's one of the senators who's being challenged by these Trump-supported people. And I hear this ad, and I'm thinking about this. Okay, I'm probably the only person that notices this, but what I notice is there's no call to action. Like, it doesn't say vote against Jim Buck, doesn't say vote for someone. It just says call his office. And again, knowing media, knowing politics, knowing how the campaign finance laws, I said, that's some sort of nonprofit group. And I'm going to be curious to find out who that is. Capital Chronicle has a big article. Sure enough, they look into who it is. And it is a nonprofit group using what they call dark money. So the way the nonprofit thing works is they don't have to disclose who their donors are because they're not calling to action. They're not advocating a political choice. They are running a political ad, but They found the glitch in the system where if you just say some guy stinks at his job and he voted on this, and this that are bad, and you need to call him and tell him he stinks, well, obviously, it's designed to get you to vote against the guy, but as long as they don't say it, they don't disclose their donors. Capital Chronicle tracked down this group, has ties to Jim Banks, and according to Capital Chronicle, the office is some single house in Fort Wayne. And I look at this and go, okay, everybody's following the law, it appears, but man, this seems like a really crappy way to fund our elections because we don't know who's paying for this. I mean, in the sense of who's giving to this group. And we don't know what do they want in return. And it just all stinks to me. But what say you?
It really does. And the reason why the Indiana Capital Chronicle and Statehouse Happenings and the new Rob Kendall show are so invaluable is because uncovering this and talking about this, trashing Jim Buck and just trashing him.
I don't have any problem with that.
Well, I do. And Jim Buck is a very close friend of mine. He and his wife have given everything to the Republican Party in the state of Indiana. He has done an absolutely wonderful job as a state senator, representing Kokomo, God-fearing man, and he's putting his career out there right now and running for re-election. He's 80 years old, and
yeah, that's time to go, right?
Well, yes, but the voter should know who he's running against, what he is for, and the bottom line is it's not truthful. It's not transparent.
Well, he did. Okay, wait a second. This is fun. We'll get to have a disagreement. The ad I heard said he voted against he voted for the gas tax. He did.
Yes.
That's fair game to say that.
And
right?
I'll stand on that every day.
So that's truthful.
Yes.
Now, then they get into other things that are a little more descriptive, but you don't have any problem with somebody running an ad against Jim Buck. You got the problem with now we don't know who's paying for the ad.
Well, not only that, I heard the same ad, and it gets at his character, and he is a high character person, and it also talks about redistricting and whatnot, and he'll stand on that, and he'll defend it. But the idea, I've just never been a campaigner that has foist upon my voters something negative about my opponent. And
this is true. People were you had a primary that was really nasty about you, and you never said a bad thing about your opponent.
I really didn't, and I never met her. In fact, I just don't like that type of campaigning. And when you add on the shadow, where we don't know who is supporting and who's funding this and how much money it's going to be, and you say 6 state senators who are going to be almost like victims of this type of wave of negativity. The campaigning should be, and I know this is, I'm naive when I say this, is what are you for and what are you against, and put your best foot forward. And none of this is going to happen in the next 6 weeks to whenever May is. That people are going to be knowing who they're voting for when it's a challenger to the incumbent.
Why do we? Because the state would have some say over this, right? There's state campaign finance laws. There's federal campaign finance laws. Right. They're different. The state has some say over this, correct? Couldn't the state? I mean, to me, it's like, okay, and this is the whole, and let's get into this for a second. To me, the idea that campaign limits, which there really aren't in Indiana, you really, certain types of people can only give so much, but really, it's not like Congress where you can only give, $3,300 per election cycle or whatever. You can give what you want. But to me, it's like, okay, you should be able to give what you want, I should know who it is,
Ex-
right? Period. These are
Bottom line.
These are clearly political ads that are skirting the system.
Mm-hmm.
Why are they allowed to happen?
Well, there are
Run all the ads you want against Jim Buck. No tears for me, but man, I want to know who's paying for it.
Yeah, and you know, there are very smart people that have figured out the system, and they know exactly how to attack, how to have ads, and they're very good at what they do. And this is not the first time this has been used. And the idea of freedom of speech, that's really where all this comes from. But I believe that you should know exactly who is giving money to the candidate and how much and when.
Yeah.
Because most people know, maybe they don't, but if there's a large donation at the end of a campaign, the campaign actually has to report it immediately before the election is held.
$10,000?
Yeah.
Is that right? Is that what it is? That's a lot of money.
Yeah. But those, I think those stipulations are important.
Do we need to look at, in our state, reforming our campaign finance laws? I mean, I always thought that's interesting that our laws are different than the federal government. It's very confusing. You can't accept money at certain times. You can't accept money at certain, or do you it's like, hey, look, it's just a bad system and here's how we make the best of it?
Well, I think maybe the latter. The idea of not raising money during budget sessions for the state legislature or the challengers for that, I think that's a good thing.
Now, look, clarify what you're saying, because one of the things I love about our show is we educate people.
Mm-hmm.
So that would be odd year.
Yes, next year
is the budget session.
Yes, in 2027.
When the lawmakers, so basically January till April, middle of April, you cannot fundraise during that period. Now, there's never an election going on at that time.
Local.
Well, no, yeah. Well, now local people can. I'm just saying if you're running for state house or state senate,
right,
you cannot raise money whether you're a challenger or the incumbent, because what they don't want is people essentially selling their vote, right?
Exactly.
Campaign donation, we're allocating money this year,
exactly right.
Whatever. Now, they're allocating money in even years now, too, so I guess that's sort of archaic, right?
Yeah, and what we've talked about with the dark money, it just gets around the issue anyway. And if you recall, I ran for mayor in 2019, and being a legislator and raising money for mayor was a really difficult process.
All right, we'll take another break. When we come back, we're going to get into the governor partnering with Turning Point USA, and I want to ask Jim about the data centers, because there's some interesting things going on with data centers across the country. I don't think they're all bad. I think we got to get to a better point with them, though. So we'll talk about that when we come back. I'm Rob Kendall. It's Jim Merritt. You're watching Statehouse Happenings.
Bramwell Mackay assists managers of multifamily and commercial real estate properties with exterior and structural condition assessment and end-to-end building wellness. Your consulting partners for water intrusion inspection and remediation, Bramwell Mackay handles historic restoration and repair, as well as modern repair needs. In Indianapolis, call 812-33-BRICK. That's 812-33-BRICK. 812-33-BRICK.
Where you work and who you work with matters. I'm Dr. Jim Dalton, President and CEO of Damar. We're dedicated to helping vulnerable kids and adults with disabilities. Right now, we're looking for tough people with big hearts, people who don't think twice about standing up for someone else, and who love seeing others grow and succeed. Is your job fulfilling emotionally, or are you just filling time? Learn more about open positions at damar.org.
Rob Kendall, Jim Merritt, the program is Statehouse Happenings, your weekly look at what's going on with Indiana politics and government. If you're watching us on the YouTube feed, we post the show up on the podcast. Make sure if you haven't, please subscribe to our channel. That helps us out immensely. Hit that like button that you like what we're doing. If you're listening via the podcast, Apple, Spotify, wherever that is, also make sure you subscribe to that channel. Do them all the places. That's how we grow the program, and we keep Jim Merritt's beautiful face in front of you for the foreseeable
and we've been
future.
Successful.
All right, so Diego Morales and then Mike Braun came out, Secretary of State, Governor, and announced we are partnering with Turning Point USA, and that is the group founded by Charlie Kirk, horribly assassinated last year. Hopefully the guy who did that gets the most stringent punishment allowed by law. But while they're a nonprofit, they advocate for political candidates. They've been a part of recruiting these political candidates to run for Senate in Indiana. They clearly have a right not bent, formation to them. And now Braun and Diego, in very vague terms, basically said, we're partnering with Turning Point USA for voter registration drives in our school. As usual with Braun, there's no real detail on any of this. But people have heard this, and I kind of share this, even though I agree with a lot of Turning Point's views, and go, I don't want Black Lives Matter in there. I don't want Planned Parenthood in there. I don't want the ACLU in there. So if I'm remotely an honest broker, I have to say I don't want Turning Point USA in there either. This seems like something that is not going to end well.
This is the essence of details, and what actually are the details. If you open up to Turning Point, do you have to open it up to other entities? And I think that is kind of the issue here is what actually. Are there going to be folding tables in gyms when the basketball team is playing, or on Friday nights with the football teams playing, or is it going to be in the classroom? And as well as the idea of opposing these incumbents when young people, young adults are going and working on these campaigns. When I was a state senator, I spent a lot of time. I was 31 when I started, and I was close to the age of the.
Dang, that's young to be a senator,
especially when you're 66. And now, but what I tried to do is
that is longer than when you started. Like your age now, you've been 66 to 31 is longer than 31 to birth.
Yeah,
that's crazy.
Yeah, I've been around stuffing envelopes from 1974.
Yeah, it's wild.
But my mom was a Goldwater girl. But bottom line is that. These campaigns, and maybe I'm skipping around what we're talking about here, but I think it's worth talking about is I would go out on college campuses and talk to kids about coming to work in the Senate internship program to learn about government, have an entree into politics, but also, teaching them the right way of legislation and government work. And what I understand is a lot of TPUSA,
yes,
they're working on the challengers to the 6 incumbent, as state senators.
They were out actively recruiting people.
Yeah, and the idea of, I can understand you're challenging a record from an incumbent. That is just fine. But what else is going on there? Because if you're trashing an incumbent without promoting the challenger, that's another set of circumstances, and I think that's wrong.
Well, and the other issue is I don't want the government trying to register people to vote. The government's job should be, if you want to register to vote and you're eligible, make it an easy process, make it quick. By all accounts, it is. But if I got to beg you to vote, I don't want you voting, and we're like having this third party potentially with a clear political bent in a government entity, which is a public school of some sort, and they're getting people registered to vote. That's their job. That's their parents' job. It's not the job of the government, certainly through a third party.
Robert, I think you and I and many people have these libertarian leanings.
Yeah,
and less government. And now I don't know what the relationship, if there's a document or there's some sort of agreement or partnership with Braun and with Morales, but that devil is in the details of exactly what that is. Is it just, we're all huddling and, that type of thing? Or is there some sort of governmental entity that is in partnership with them? I don't know that. It's hard to comment on, but we want people to be registered to vote. I think we welcome groups to come into the state to do so in a voluntary way. We just don't, it's not transparent. It's not transparent enough.
All right, we'll take our final break. We will be right back. You're listening to Statehouse Happenings.
Bramwell Mackay assists managers of multifamily and commercial real estate properties with exterior and structural condition assessment and end-to-end building wellness. Your consulting partners for water intrusion inspection and remediation, Bramwell Mackay handles historic restoration and repair, as well as modern repair needs. In Indianapolis, call 812-33-BRICK. That's 812-33-BRICK. 812-33-BRICK.
Where you work and who you work with matters. I'm Dr. Jim Dalton, President and CEO of Damar. We're dedicated to helping vulnerable kids and adults with disabilities. Right now, we're looking for tough people with big hearts, people who don't think twice about standing up for someone else, and who love seeing others grow and succeed. Is your job fulfilling emotionally, or are you just filling time? Learn more about open positions at damar.org.
Rob Kendall, Jim Merritt, the program of Statehouse Happenings, your weekly look at what's going on with Indiana politics and government. Don't forget, you can find Jim Merritt on Twitter at Jim_Merritt, at Jim_Merritt. He has a fabulous podcast. It's called Merritt in the Morning. You can find it on YouTube as well as Facebook. Just search for Merritt in the Morning. And a book. Tell us about the book.
Yes, lessons learned. Are we ready for the next pandemic? History says no.
Yeah, and you get that at Amazon.
Yes, Amazon.com. Barnes & Noble online.com. It's available online.
Lessons learned. Jim Merritt. I have the book. It is fabulous. Everybody check out the book. Me, I'm on Twitter at RobMKendall, and you can hear me weekdays 10 until noon. Rob Kendall Show. You find that live on YouTube 10 until noon, and then via on-demand podcasting wherever you get your podcast. Rob Kendall Show. That is going to do it for us this week. For Jim Merritt, I'm Rob Kendall. You've been watching, you've been listening to Statehouse Happenings.